Where we keep it real and pour the tea so you can sip it slowly. Yeah. Where the vibe is real so you can feel everything we say. Hello and welcome to another episode of What's the Tea? Girl Talk. Tonight we're on location at Pepper's Lounge, located in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Look them up. This is the place you want to be. Ladies, tonight our topic is sleeping with the enemy.
Wow.
So it's a very juicy
Very
topic.
good topic.
Very juicy topic. Now, in that movie, Sleeping with the Enemy, it depicted a woman who was involved in an abusive relationship. And we know that domestic violence, the month for domestic violence is in October. But with the, events that have been taking place, husbands killing their wives and all of these different tragic events that have been happening, we wanted to shed some light on the severity of domestic violence.
I think we all know a victim of domestic violence, or we've heard it, seen it, or experienced it in some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go over a couple of the statistics and facts of domestic violence. And let's also give a definition so we can be clear on what domestic violence is.
Yeah.
Domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to establish power and control over another person through fear, intimidation, often including a threat or use of violence. We have a couple facts that will actually surprise you. Men are victims of nearly 3 million physical assaults in the U.S.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I think because you're so used to fighting with your mate, arguing with your mate, or, he gonna get nervous and you hit him and he hit you back, and that's just what y'all do, no one looks at it as domestic violence.
Exactly.
But it's so unhealthy. 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence during a lifetime. And domestic violence is most likely to take place between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Which got you thinking, like, what is going on
in
at
the
night?
world?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right.
Well, I would say, around those times, 6 p.m. I won't say 6 p.m., but, kind of later in the night, around 11 p.m., 12, that's when most of creeping, starts happening.
What you know about creeping?
Yeah. Listen.
Was you creeping? You been
I'm
creeping?
just saying the times
Have you been creeping?
No, I haven't been creeping. I'm just simply
right.
saying that.
She creeping.
You know that
She's saying
people,
she creeping.
some people that you may know, that is their creeping time. 11, 12, 1 in the morning, when everybody else is asleep.
Unless she was creeping.
What is creeping?
That's all I'm saying.
What is creeping?
Creeping is when you are trying to secretly do something that you should not be doing.
Oh,
so
wait a minute.
No, I'm not a secret.
I was just you're my little secret.
Listen, move on.
Anyway, no, I think I kind of understand, because a lot of times when that spouse or that mate comes home, 6 p.m. is that after work hour.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I had a bad day, I'll come home and take it out on you or the kids or whatever. So I can understand the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. After that, then you maybe had some wine and spurts, and Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde come out, and
it's time. People need to be asleep around that time.
I'm just saying things happen, so I kind of understand the late night.
Okay.
That the time zone that they happen.
Now you don't understand abuse.
No, I don't understand abuse. I said the time.
Okay,
zone. Because she hits back. You hit me, she hits back.
Move on.
Bless her.
Move on.
She hits back.
Move on.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so we have a guest.
Tonight we have a special guest. Joining us is Miss Annette Brown. Please help me welcome her.
Welcome.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for joining us on tonight. We are just so excited that you're here.
Thank you. For approximately 2 years, I was in a relationship dating a young man, and he began abusing me shortly after the honeymoon phase of the relationship, and the abuse was overwhelming.
When you say abuse, you mean verbal abuse, or was it physical?
Oh, wow. It was verbal, mental, physical, social, It was a hodgepodge of abuse in every angle that you can even imagine.
So how long did this happen, and what made you stay?
It happened over a period of 2 years. I stayed merely for the fact that we both was religious-based people, and he pronounced himself to me as a deacon in the church and a man of God and a man of faith. So once the abuse began, I just with prayer began to hope that it would subside, and it never did. But my faith in God just kept me grounded into the relationship. And also I was in love with him at this point when the abuse started, because he didn't present himself to me as the boogeyman. He presented himself to me as my knight in shining armor. And he was everything that I had been praying for. And he came across as if he was this perfect gentleman. And by the time the honeymoon phase was over, and the honeymoon phase is the beginning of a relationship, it's approximately from the first day to 6 months to 8 months within the relationship. It's called the honeymoon phase, where they just woo you and win you. And once they win you, then they gradually move into violence. Well, he rapidly moved into violence.
So what would you say triggered, the
From my point of
behavior?
view, anything.
Wow.
I have on denim tonight. The denim doesn't match. This is light denim and dark denim. If he was to say, that don't match, and I would say, but it's okay, it's fashion.
Oh, wow.
Oh, did you just disrespect me?
Wow.
Oh, wow, I'm going to get you when we get home.
Wow. So for 2 years, you were in an abusive relationship.
For 2 years.
When did the light bulb go off? And was there ever a time that you thought that you were not going to make it out?
Oh, of course. The first, I'll never forget the first hit.
Wow.
The first hit was a football tackle. I was at his place, and I had just came home from an ill stay in the hospital with a heart condition.
Oh, wow.
And he football tackled me over a dinner that I cooked. Anything would trigger him. Anything. And I could never do anything right. My hair was never good enough. My hair was never straight enough. My skin was never brown enough. My language was never clear enough.
Wow.
Anything. My walk wasn't sexy enough, or maybe it was too sexy. Anything triggered him. I was walking on eggshells. I can remember calling my family, crying out, saying, I just want to come home, but never really saying he's abusing me. Never really saying that he's beating me, but just saying, I want to come home, I want to come home. But my kids was so in tune with this man, and they liked him so much that they encouraged me to stay.
Wow.
Did your kids ever witness the abuse?
No one ever did. No one, I didn't tell a soul, and he would never abuse me in front of anyone.
Wow.
So
That's mind control.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
mind control.
So take us through that moment where you say enough is enough.
Well, there was many different episodes of beating. There was never a punch to a black eye. I never had a bust lip, but I was body slammed. I was choked unconscious. I was suffocated unconscious. There was one episode when my daughter was at my house, but we were in my room isolated, and I was in the shower, and he was just rambling on about whatever could have been wrong that day, because I never knew who would come into my front door. I never knew who was going to enter. And I got in the shower to separate myself from this young man, because if you're in the shower, how much harm can you bring to someone? But what I didn't know at the time was getting in the shower made me vulnerable to him, because he had spent 30 years in prison. So to attack me in the shower was a prison move.
Wow.
So this young man snatched the shower curtain open, punched me so aggressively in the back of my head, to the front of my head, hit the shower wall, and I passed out. My daughter was in the home. The next thing I could remember is just coming to there on the floor, and him pacing over top of me, saying, I gotta get rid of her. I gotta get rid of her. I gotta do something to get rid of her. So fear gripped me, and I reached up to show him I wasn't dead, and he slammed my hand down. With no empathy, with no remorse. He didn't have a soul. He didn't know how to empathize with my tears, with my pain. That point still wasn't enough for me. At that point, I still stayed.
Oh, wow.
I stayed another 6 months, maybe. The end for me was, I just realized he's not going to get better. He's not. The worst thing that a woman can do is to stay silent. I realized that my silence was his strength. I began to find books on narcissistic behavior. I began to read them to show me how to escape a narcissistic person. I began to read books on people that have been incarcerated for many years and the way they think. And I began to learn how to think like he thought and to pretend that I wasn't trying to get away.
Wow.
But in my mind, I was trying to get away, and I was screaming for help. I would introduce him to people hoping that they could see it.
Wow.
And it came a point where one night he brushed against my daughter, in not a bad way, but I raged. I raged and thought, are you disrespecting me? Knowing that you beating me is totally disrespecting me. But when he bumped against my daughter, I raged at him for the first time and said, don't you ever bump against my daughter. Don't you ever. And at that moment, I realized there's freedom.
Yeah.
There's freedom in this, and I have to get away. And I began praying, fasting, and yet not told a soul that I was being beaten.
Wow.
But I went back again and again. And the last straw that I thought broke the camel back in December, I finally broke away from him. And it lasted for like 21 days. I was free from him. And he came back and cried and begged and said he'll never touch me again. He'll never hurt me again. And I took him back again.
And you believe those words?
I believed him because the mind control. The mind control. You have to remember, this individual had only a weapon of his mind incarcerated. He knew how to play mind games. So he was really good at it. So he had me entwined in his control. It's like he's a spider in that web. I was just in it, hoping that I can have a great testimony one day.
Now, Annette, tell me, what would you do? Because now you're an advocate for individuals experiencing domestic abuse that are in domestic situations. What would you tell yourself now, looking back?
Wow. What I wish I could have told myself, the things that he told me. He told me no one would ever believe you. No one's gonna even think that me, Mr. Wonderful, is doing that to you. Wow. The thing that I would tell Annette is, they will believe you. Someone will believe you. I didn't know that there was help there. I didn't know it was help out there. Because when I was a little girl, my mama told me everything goes on in your house stays in your house. So, but I wish that I could tell someone today that there's people out there that will believe you.
Yes.
There's help. There's different entities of safe space and all different entities that you can reach out and get help.
Yes.
There's help. Even sharing it with your family minimizes the demon within that person. It minimizes the demon, because once you expose them, they lose their strength. Strength is in silence.
Yes.
The silence gives strength.
Wow.
And I stayed so silent and so humble and so church mousy that I didn't tell a soul.
Okay, last question. Why do you think women and men, because men are also, you know, being abused, you know, as well, why do you think they stay? Why do, after a person has hit you the first time, or, said something that could lead up to, them putting or laying a hand on you, why do you think the individuals stay?
I think that's really a lot of different reasons. Some people just want to be loved so bad that
Right.
they'll accept any kind of love. Some people think that when you hit them, that is love.
Right.
So it's so many different. Some people just don't want to be alone. So this is better than nothing.
Wow.
Some people are scared to just to know their self. You know what I'm saying? To be by their self. So it's so many different reasons. But that mind control is vicious.
Yes.
It's vicious, and it's crazy that she said that, because I would say for a long time, a lot of times I've told people, once you tell yourself something, you know what I mean, it all starts in mind. You'll start to believe it. And it was crazy, and no disrespect to domestic violence, but I would say it's like a battered woman syndrome. Because in a battered woman, in an abuseful situation, they would tell her, like she said, you're nothing, nobody's going to believe you, nobody's going to want you, da-da-da-da. But once you start telling yourself, I'm somebody, I'm beautiful,
Right.
I'm this, eventually you'll believe it,
right.
because you heard it so many times. So once your mind takes a hold of it and your mind grasps it and believe it, that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Whether it's positive or negative, once your mind has it, that's it.
And I think also, just to piggyback off what you're saying, once fear, because the fear of, what if I don't make it out? And I think something that, because I saw you got emotional when you talked about your daughter. And I think that people put themselves in situations where they say, okay, I can deal with it, but not my children.
Right.
If you come from my family, like, you're going to see a different side of me.
Right.
So I think that also played a part, in that motivating force that got behind you to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we appreciate you for being here, because there are a lot of women that did not survive, that did not survive that violent blow, because they, took the individual back because that individual said, I'll never hit you again, or, it was a mistake, or I'll go and get help. And they I'm so sorry. And they just basically told lies. Now, I'm going to flip the script. I know I said that was the last question, right?
We listen.
We listen. Okay.
We listen.
What would you tell your abuser now?
That's deep.
That's real deep.
That's deep. That's deep.
I actually thought about that today.
Wow.
Really?
I actually almost posted that on Facebook today.
Wow.
I posted that I got out of bed this morning and I looked in the mirror and she looked back at me and said, we made it. Now go tell your story. I would tell my abuser sitting here tonight that I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive you for everything
Oh, will make
hold
me
on,
cry.
that you've done to me,
Yeah.
because you've made me so strong now.
Yeah.
When I used to be so private and wouldn't tell anyone that you was hitting me. And it's been a year and I've been on a rampage against domestic violence. And I've spoke out against domestic violence. And you have created the most powerful being
Yes.
on earth that will never stop. All because of what you did to me. I would tell you tonight, you hit the wrong person. Because I'll never stop. But I forgive you. I forgive you so that I can move on.
Yes.
I forgive you so that I can love again, because I will love again.
Yes.
And I'm never going to stop believing in love. And I forgive you, is what I'll tell you tonight, Mr. Boogeyman.
Wow. That's awesome. Awesome. Tell us about, you guys have a walk coming up. A walk coming up. You work with Safe Space or Safe Place?
I
Which one?
partner with Safe Space, and Safe Space is an entity here in the Treasure Coast, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River, where it is the largest entity that houses women for domestic violence and getting away from their intimate partner. 4 women in a lifetime, 1 out of 4 women in a lifetime will be affected with domestic violence. So Safe Space does things throughout the year. But October is the National Awareness Month for domestic violence. And in October, there will be a walk for the first time in Fort Pierce called Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. Yes, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is out there, but it's always been in Indian River County, Martin County, and in Port St. Lucie. this year, I've been on a rampant rampage where Safe Space contacted me and said, Annette, we're coming to Fort Pierce. And I'm so grateful for that. So in October, on the 26th, we'll be downtown Fort Pierce around the marina, walking 1 mile in her shoes in honor of all the women and men that's lost their lives at the hands of their intimate partner due to domestic violence.
Yes, I better get my jacket and my sneakers.
Yes. We got to get ready to walk.
Gotta get ready to walk.
I just may pass the water. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I can't.
Why you always gonna pass the water?
And
listen,
she should
I'm
be the
involved.
first one walk and
Whatever. Whatever. That's
I love you. I love you. I'm just saying.
Listen, I need to be a little cuddly.
Your teddy sweater.
Yeah.
You need a teddy sweater.
Listen, it's been real. We thank you all so much for tuning in to our broadcast on tonight. On July the 18th, 2015, Girl Talk will be hosting our very first Empowerment Tea Social.
Yay!
This year's theme is Purpose, Passion, and Pursuit.
Yes.
Empowerment Tea Social. Moving from dreams to reality.
Yes.
We are so super excited. Joining us at this event will be comedian L.A. Hardy, radio personality DJ D.A., Doctor of Education Dr. Nika Farrell, and from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, also attorney Phaedra Parks. Please join us. Hope to see you. Thank you so much. We'll have information with different entities that you can contact. Abuse is never the answer. If you're being abused, please get help. Get
Make
out.
some grits.
Tell someone.
Oh my goodness.
Make some grits, honey,
that's
baby.
domestic
Play
violence.
grit ball. Listen, sometimes you got
domestic
sometimes
violence.
you got to get your get back. Just
No.
I want to leave something with you guys.
Okay, all right.
That's
Good.
prison.
All right. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prison need ministry too.
Oh.
No, okay.
Please.
I sorry.
We're gonna allow our guests to close us out tonight.
I would like to close on this note that I passionately embrace that hands are not for hitting. No more hitting. Stop the silence to domestic violence.
All right, that's a T-shirt. I'm making it. Order with me. I'm just saying.
Would you close us out? We thank you again.
Well, we want to thank everybody. We want to thank our guests, of course. We want to thank Pepper's Lounge.
Yes.
Yay.
And we just want to remind everybody to keep tuning in, keep supporting. We appreciate it. And keep sipping because we're pouring. It's Girl Talk.